Russell Westbrook had a night, but wait till you hear who says he's the second best point guard ever. And this guy's name doesn't rhyme with Nick. Anthony Davis says the Lakers are back, but should Lakers fans be equally as confident? And all eyes on Mac Jones in New England. Will he be the starter for the Patriots come week 1? Brandon's not having Max walk. Says he needs to work on that. But maybe everything else is ready to go. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Jenna, Nick, Brandon's all fired up already. But Kevin Wildes, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, do we have a quarterback? Is that what I smell? A quarterback controversy?
Ooh. No, well, we probably will go sort of like a New Orleans Saints route and start them both perhaps on the same play. You know, both quarterbacks on the field at the same time, Jenna.
Same play, same time. I love it.
It's brewing.
A la Taysom Hill. We will get to that, but once again, we got to start with Aaron Rodgers because once again, it's becoming more and more likely the MVP could actually be moving on from the Green Bay Packers. But where would he go? So Fox Bet Sportsbook still has Rodgers staying in Green Bay, but after that, they've got him going to the Broncos and then the Raiders. And speaking of Denver, Rich Eisen had some interesting words on the topic on the Rich Eisen Show, appropriately named. Listen to what he had to say yesterday.
I heard he would happily go to Denver because they've got the weapons, they've got the spot. He doesn't care that it's in Mahomes' division. He would actually love to personally beat Mahomes. He would love to send Mahomes to the wild card every single year. This is what I've been told.
Wouldn't that be something? So it just adds another layer to all the drama, right, Brandon? Would Rodgers be foolish to want to play in the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, I mean, after bolstering that offensive line and making a few tweaks on the defensive side, probably. I don't know how you get it done. I mean, this is their NFL to lose when you talk about the Chiefs. This team is stacked. Patrick Mahomes hasn't even entered into his prime yet, but this is what players do. You know, I remember Russell Wilson was asking for a trade, and one of the teams on that list was the Las Vegas Raiders. And I talked to somebody in this camp, like, why would he go there? You got Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't care. Like, why would he care? He wants that, you know. So when you think about these greats, you know, it makes sense. And I got to apologize to LeVar Arrington, Nick. You know, last week, LeVar was on the show, and we had the same conversation. He was like, you guys are missing the point. He cut you off. Actually, you were talking. He's like, you guys are missing the point. He wants to go to the AFC West because he wants to compete against Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? This makes absolutely no sense. But maybe he was right, you know, because when you think about this conversation around the GOAT, it's all about the passing of the torch. Tom Brady passing the torch to Patrick Mahomes. He's no longer in that discussion. A few years ago, he was, before Patrick Mahomes emerged. We were talking about Aaron Rodgers and how great he was, and we've never seen a quarterback like this. So now you go to the AFC West, and you get an opportunity to beat Mahomes twice a year, win a division. Now you're back in a discussion. You know, that's the only thing that I miss about playing ball, Nick, is checking off the boxes. Like, man, you got Chad Ochocinco here, you got Terrell Owens here, you got Marvin Harrison, all these guys. Let me pass them on this list, do that. Like, so, you know, it's about the chase and it's about the thrill, you know, so it makes sense to me, Nick.
So, yes, we either collectively owe LeVar an apology or we have snuffed out, or we have sent it out the Rich Eisen source that it was LeVar Arrington, that LeVar is the one telling Rich, I heard he wants to go to the AFC West. It's one of the two. It's probably the first one. Now, I heard Wild say, when you were talking about Aaron Rodgers kind of reclaiming the throne. Wilds, I don't think Brandon's saying in the GOAT conversation. I think he's saying in the best quarterback alive conversation. Because even the folks who said Brady has accomplished the most, Brady, you know, call it 5 years ago, had passed Montana. A lot of those same folks were saying, but Rodgers is the best quarterback playing right now. And no one's saying that anymore. I know he just won the MVP, but everyone understands the guy in Kansas City is the best quarterback playing right now. I think everybody mostly understands it. But this would make sense for Rodgers because he doesn't want to leave Green Bay because it's not a winnable division. the wanting to leave Green Bay is about respect and appreciation. And of course, Rodgers thinks any team I'm on can win a championship. And by the way, the Broncos have a good roster. They just haven't had a quarterback since John Elway other than Peyton Manning. So they've gone 20 years where they had one stretch where they had a quarterback. Sorry, Jay Cutler. Again, I always have to apologize for Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was fine.
Jake the Snake? You don't like Jake the Snake?
Yeah, he was fine. But again, they haven't had a guy that could compete on the highest levels other than those few years with Manning.
That's right.
And so I get why Rodgers would want to go there. Also, the thing is, and you're going to think I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not, no matter what division you're in, probably no matter which conference you're in, if you're going to want to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to go through Patrick Mahomes. The last 3 Super Bowls have either been won by Patrick Mahomes or the team that beat Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl. So, like, it's not like, well, we can avoid him. He's going to be there at the end of the year no matter what. So you might as well try to make his path harder by winning his division. So, yeah, this makes sense to me that Rodgers would want to go. They've invested in the wide receiver position heavily with Hamler and with Jerry Jeudy. I think they have a good team. Von Miller potentially coming back, helping them out. I like that roster. Just Drew Lock had them drawing dead last year, so it makes sense to me, yeah.
Okay, I will say it kind of makes sense to me. And this whole story has been wildly confusing to me personally. I've also been vaccinated against nonsense, so it's been a real hard time sort of inoculating my system with how the twists and turns of this narrative, Brandon. To me, like, all right, I can go to the Broncos, a team that I've never played for with a brand new squad, and try to pull a Tom Brady 2.0, or I can stay with the Packers, swallow my pride a hair, just a little bit, in a team that went 13-3 back-to-back years, went to the NFC Championship back-to-back years, and lost to 2 GOATs, Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady. So, Brandon, if we're talking about burnishing his legacy, rather than beating Mahomes twice in the regular season, which literally no one cares about except Nick Wright when it comes down to your legacy, wouldn't it be better to just stay in Green Bay and then wait for Tom Brady in the playoffs and maybe beat him? You beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, you become something. Right. You beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, you get to drive your bus around Arrowhead. So I would say it's a smarter move. Stay in Green Bay, try to beat Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but why did Tom Brady leave Foxborough? Why did that marriage end, right? Like, why? Because egos are involved. This is a billion-dollar business, multi-million-dollar athlete. So what does that mean? Egos. Like, I don't understand it. You know, yes, the best place for Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay. Figure it out. Sit down at the table. Go add a Charles Woodson type player that can, you know, turn the ball over and give you extra possessions. Like, make sure you have what you need. But it seems to be the same story since 2010, 2011, since they won a Super Bowl. They're always a good team. Outside of Aaron Rodgers breaking his collarbone, they're always in contention. But what's going to give them that edge to get over the hump? So, you know, hopefully they sit down and work it out. But at the end of the day, it just might be time to move on.
And Wilds, I don't totally understand why you're confused by this. This is not about X's and O's. This is about the egos and hurt feelings and anger and the personal side of professional sports. And I would say, like, you're analyzing this like it's Madden and you're playing GM mode. But even in the newest Madden, if you insult someone that you're trying to re-sign, they will come back and say, I'm leaving. Even on Madden, egos come into play. This is Aaron Rodgers. He's pissed. And, like, it's not going to be about, well, I like my chances against Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins. It's about the Packers. That's true. That's true. If offer, you got to be careful with that first free agent offer in Madden, man. Yeah, they'll walk. They'll say, I refuse to sign with you. It's a big situation, Jenna. That's a true story.
It's too realistic.
But Wilds, you did say a word which I thought was really interesting, and it's legacy. And you have to wonder, whether leaving Green Bay bruises his legacy in any way with what he has already built up there. We have so much more to discuss with regards to Aaron Rodgers still to come on the show, but we got to talk some basketball. Russell Westbrook was everywhere last night. Back on the old triple-double train. Is he actually the second best point guard ever?
Why not?
We'll have that for you next. First things first. Time for drawing a blank. We got to start talking by Russ. Russell Westbrook became the first ever in NBA history, first player in NBA history to have at least 24 assists and 21 rebounds in a single game last night. Scott Brooks went so far as to say after Russ will go down as the second best point guard ever.
Scotty.
Hey, Brandon.
Talk that
Scott
talk,
Brooks
Scotty.
saying Russ will be the second best point guard ever is blank.
Listen, what's Russell's slogan? Why not? Why not? Numbers don't lie. Let's go through some of these numbers. It's Russ is the only player that did this. Russ is the only player that did that. Like, think about this. Russ is the only player in NBA history to record multiple triple-doubles with 20-plus rebounds and 20-plus assists. Russ, 5 triple-doubles with 20-plus assists is the most in all time. Russ has already locked in an average, a triple-double again this season. This is his 4th time doing it. It's only happened once before. I can go on and on about the amazing career Russ has had. Now, I know, Nick, you know, you love basketball. You love the history of the game. You're going to talk about Stockton. You're going to talk about Magic. You want to talk about Jason Kidd, you know, even Chris Paul. Like, yeah, but why not? Numbers don't lie. Walking triple-double.
Okay, you're right. I do love the history of basketball, which is why it is incumbent upon me to tell the audience, contrary to what Jenna said a few minutes ago, Carmelo Anthony actually passed Danny Ainge in all-time scoring in March of 2010, 11 years ago. All right, now to this. My answer is off by 5. I will already give Russ the nod over Iverson, because it's nonsensical. Over Iverson, over Walt, Clyde, Frazier. I'll give him the odd. I'm not going to include Harden as a point guard. I'll even give him the odd. Brandon mentioned it over Jason Kidd. But you've got Magic.
Isaiah Thomas.
You've got Oscar. You've got Steph. You've got Isaiah. You've got Chris Paul. You've got Stockton. And then you've got Russ. So right now, he's the 7th best point guard ever. Could he pass Stockton? Sure. Don't think he's going to pass Chris Paul. No, he's not going to pass Isaiah. What's the problem, Wilds? So he's off by 5. You seem confused. I just gave you the list.
You think that Russell Westbrook can be a better point guard than John Stockton? You think that, he can do something in the remainder of his career to pass John Stockton as a point guard?
Well, they both play point guard as a player, sure. I mean, Stockton never won a ring. Russ has an MVP.
Yeah.
So, right now I have him behind, but yes, he could pass him. Why couldn't he? I mean, I don't understand why he couldn't.
What he's doing in his career.
Again, I think he's the 7th best point guard ever. I have him behind Stockton. Yeah, that's true. So why you hate him?
My point guard doesn't need to get 20 rebounds. It just doesn't need to. In any event. My answer is fast-paced. Did you know the Wizards are on track to have the 2nd highest pace in the last 30 years? So I'm not saying these numbers are inflated, just saying that they are playing at a very fast pace. That's why you get scores like 154-141, Wizards over Indiana, which is also a terrible team. Although there are playoff implications to this. It's a big score.
Your son's going to be so disappointed. Your son.
His other son is named Stockton,
that was shameful. That was funny, Jenna. That's good.
Thank you. Amid all the offseason drama, he just names his kids in order of where everyone stacks up point guard wise. Amid all the offseason drama, one report said the Packers cutting receiver Jake Kumerow was the final blow for the Rodgers-Packers relationship. Rodgers was complimentary of Kumerow just before the Packers cut ties. So Brandon, Rodgers being pushed over the edge by the Packers cutting Kumerow is blank.
Jake Kumerow, like who? Where's this kid coming from? This thing is petty. So apparently, You know, this is a guy that was a friend of Aaron Rodgers that he liked last year going into the season, and then our guy, Brian Gutekunst, cuts him. This thing is just getting petty. I understand this, you know, because when, you know, I see a quarterback, they come in the cafeteria, guys light up. Oh, Eli Manning is sitting next to me. Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, they're sitting next to me. People light up when you see the star quarterback. They come around for the most part, but they're different. They just don't seem like the average player. But there's always one, maybe two guys that are in their circle that they're really cool with. When you go travel and you're on the road, you get to the hotel and you go to dinner. They're always with that one or two guys. These dudes live in Appleton, Wisconsin. There's nothing there. I traveled there for years playing in Chicago. And there's you know, one little hotel that has a steakhouse and a bar. That's it. You need friends. So if you have Aaron Rodgers as your starting quarterback and his friend is Jake Kumerow, you keep that guy on the team so they can play video games or cards or whatever they do in Appleton, Wisconsin. This is getting petty. More, you know, the more information comes out, Nick.
This is totally reasonable on Rodgers' behalf. Guys, I don't understand why we're pretending that this type of stuff doesn't always happen in pro sports and in regular business. Guys, once upon a time, the Knicks employed J.R. Smith's brother. You know why? Because J.R. Smith wanted them to. It was J.R. Smith. And I love J.R. And Chris Smith is actually my pal. But come on. Like, Jake Kumerow was making $600 grand. And the reason they didn't keep him was because Gutekunst drafted, who was it? Sternberger, who's never helped him, and then Josiah DeGuara, who got hurt last year. So, like, nope, we're stocked at the tight end position. It is, if I don't totally know what Dusty does on the show, but I love him. If they got rid of him, I'd be angry. There's no reason to. Like, I mean, like, you got to do certain things for some of your top performers. Like,
why are you taking shots at Dusty? You know what Dusty does.
We just don't know what he does.
I don't really know what
we don't know what he does.
I don't know. Totally.
I don't know what he does. Nice
but
guy.
He's good to have around.
Dusty,
no idea.
Dusty helps me.
Everybody knows what Dusty does.
If I spit out a stat, it's coming from Dusty.
Under the bus.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Go
I didn't
ahead.
know what he does. Only kidding. Dusty is a magnificent researcher. I was going to rename Dusty the points god, like the good point god. Tell me if you like that, Dusty. In any case, Jenna, I'm saying tweet drama. We're on to the tweet drama portion of the Aaron Rodgers narrative. I was waiting for this. I like to tweet. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. This is where we get to real Kevin Durant levels. Except this one's nice. Now someone's got to put a Gutekunst tweet out there, and Aaron Rodgers got to like it and then delete it. That's the key. That's the next step in this ever unfolding drama. Now that we have pressed it on the Jake Kumerow narrative, the next start is put it on a tweet, delete it.
I actually love the drama. It's getting great. Let's talk some basketball. Luka was thrown out of the Mavs game Sunday against the Kings. NBA upheld both texts from that game, so he's now only one away from an automatic one-game suspension with his total at 15. What? Hey, Brandon, Luka being one tech away from a suspension is blank. Blanda.
Let me pull a LeVar Arrington and change my answer. My original answer was wake-up call, but the more I'm thinking about this, you know, this is bad parenting. That's what this is. Nick, your stepson. This is on you. This is how you raise your guy, Luka, to act on the court. He's a professional athlete. Why is he whining every time someone touches him? Look at this. You keep talking about your son. You need to do a better job as a parent and get his butt in line. Because every time somebody touches him, like, oh, a foul. Oh, give me the call.
I don't like to interrupt,
this is terrible,
but if you're going to attack my parenting, I have to jump in. This is because my answer is exactly how he was raised. You know what I taught my son to do? Go right up to the line, stare at the line, and don't go over it. Hey, that's a 65 mile per hour zone. Drive 74. Not 75, you'll get pulled over. 74, though.
Goodness.
You're allowed 15 techs without a suspension. Mark it down, Kevin Wildes. 16th ain't coming. Then when the playoffs start and it gets reset, he's going to start getting texts again. You go right up to the line. If they say that paper's due at 11:59, you don't turn it in at 12:01, but don't turn it in a minute before 11:58 either. Right up to the line. That's how we raised him. That's how he became, because you get the most juice out of that berry with squeezing it like that. That's the rule. He won't get a 16th deck. Mark it down, Wilds. He will not get a 16th deck.
Okay.
I
agree with that. Great parenting. I think it's oddly liberating, not because of the parenting miscues, because no ref wants to get Lucas suspended. It's one thing to give a guy a tech and be like, refs, we're not here to see you. It's another one to make the call where you have to sit the guy down. So I think the refs know this. And if Luka can go right up to the line, Luka can say anything he wants. No ref wants to give him his final tech. So he's oddly liberated. He can actually be more outrageous now.
Carte blanche. That's right.
Ouch.
That's right.
Ouch.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Look what's coming up. Nick has his updated NBA MVP ladder with the regular season nearing a close. Hey, where will LeBron and the Joker and the Joel all land? Mum's the word. Gotta wait till tomorrow right here on First Things First. In the meantime,
there is a guy missing, Jenna, from that graphic that might be in first place.
Joel.
On that MVP ladder. Revealed tomorrow.
Oh. Ooh. Let's talk some Lakers Nuggets last night. Lakers losers of 6 of 7 coming in, plus no LeBron, so all eyes once again on Anthony Davis. And unlike all the other times, seemingly, AD finally stepping up. Hits the clutch jumper to put the Lakers up 4 in the final minute, then in the final 10 seconds, flexed a little defense and seals the win.
He's 4-11.
After the game, there it is. After the game, Anthony Davis, who went 25-7, with the funniest comment of the year, in my opinion, saying, quote, wait for it, guys, we're back. Nick, you share AD's confidence? One good game.
Well, listen, I was the last remaining believer in the underdog, nobody believes in us Lakers. So I don't know if I can say I agree they're back, because I didn't think they ever left. But, man, even yesterday, the great Shannon Sharp was concerned. And now a day later, the Lakers played the team they're most likely to face in the first round of the playoffs with the prohibitive favorite to win league MVP, Nikola Jokic. The Lakers are without Dennis Schroeder, and they're without one other guy. It should be important come the playoffs. Oh, yeah, LeBron James, and they beat him. And they beat him because, if we're being honest, the demise of Anthony Davis has been greatly exaggerated. Anthony Davis has played 8 full seasons in the NBA. Well, okay, well, Brandon, these are just facts I'm about to give you, and you can tell me if you think all of a sudden he just fell off or he was just having a rough stretch. He's played 8 seasons in the NBA. In those 8 seasons, 6 times he was first-team All-NBA. 3 times he has finished top 6 in MVP voting. He has been the anchor had been the anchor before he got hurt, of the league's best defense, a team that still somehow has the best defense by a mile, and that is why they won yesterday, was defense. Not just the block at the end of the game, but holding the Nuggets to a 95 New York Knicks-esque 89 points. And so, yeah, the Lakers should have confidence, because what they know is throughout the Western Conference playoffs, they are likely to not only have the best player in every series, they are likely to have the 2 best players in every series they play.
You need to stop it right now, Nicholas.
They should be confident. Tell me.
Nicholas James, is this the small little window that you was waiting for? This team been struggling the last 7-8 games. Come on, bro.
They have. But they didn't last night. They won last night.
So what I heard you say was Anthony Davis, you went back. He's been in the NBA for 8 years, and you talked about 6 years this, 3 years doing that. So you're saying he's just having a bad stretch? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that the shortened off season, maybe a little championship hangover, dealing with the Achilles, then getting hurt, that he hadn't been his full-fledged self. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think he just got bad all of a sudden.
We've been training professional athletes, all sports, since 2012. Right now, we have around 50 pro athletes training here at our facility. One of the things I always say to these guys and girls is, listen, you can have a bad game. I mean, you can have a bad play. Sometimes you can have a bad game. What you can't have is a bad season. And that's what Anthony Davis is having, is a bad season compared to everything that you said, the 8 years he's been in the NBA. Like, what is going on with AD? Maybe it's that stuff, but great players don't have bad seasons. LeBron James never had a bad season. Michael Jordan never had a bad season, Nick. So Anthony Davis, this confidence, I mean, that's what you're looking for as a player. Like, you're looking for that one game, that one shot, that one play that can get you out of that slump. Maybe it's that, but we need to see multiple games in a row. We need to see consistency. Having one good game against the Denver Nuggets, who shot 6 for 24 from 3, so they were terrible shooting the ball last night, and saying, "Oh, we're
because
back.
Of the defense.
Oh yeah, you're not back. You didn't even have a whole, one great game. You had a great half. The first half, he had 16 points. The second half, I mean, where was he in the third quarter? He was resting. He didn't even play much of the third quarter against Campazzo. Campazzo's 4'11".
Well,
of course, you would have blocked his shot.
Brandon, your play was out there.
He made some big plays.
He was out there.
He made some big plays. He made some big plays in it. I just want to say this, Nick, before I pass it to you. I just want to see multiple games. I want to see consistency before we say we're back. That's all I want to see.
Okay, that's fine, but there's only they didn't play a doubleheader yesterday, so we can only talk about the one game they played. I understand that you're going to remain skeptical. I get it. But the idea, you're right, great players don't have all of a sudden awful years. But Anthony Davis, before his injury, was averaging 23 points per game, which, for the record, is the exact amount of points Joel Embiid averaged last year. The year before last, Embiid was up around 28. This year, he's up around 30. Last year, he was having a bit of a down season. The idea that Anthony Davis, before his injury, was playing horrid basketball, to me, is not accurate. He was not playing he could be league MVP basketball, but Wilds. I apologize. I got a question for you, and it might not be where you were trying to go with this, but and let me ask you this question, then take it wherever you want. In your heart of hearts, who do you trust more in an upcoming playoff series? The Joker or AD? Who do you think is going to have more of an impact on both ends of the court if they play each other? Because that's without LeBron.
Yeah. That's fair. I would take AD with LeBron rather than a Jamal Murray-less Joker. But I think it goes back to how healthy is LeBron? Because I feel like we're missing the biggest stories that LeBron sat out, and they needed this game. Now, they got the win, but LeBron knew that he hated the play-in. They want to avoid that, and they kind of escaped it now. But, Nick, we have such a limited sort of injury history of LeBron. I don't remember him coming back and then being like, you know what? Came back too early. I'm going to sit this one out. So are you super confident in LeBron's health? And I know it's silly. It's hard for us to play doctors out here. But I felt like him coming back, and then sort of pulling and then taking more rest gave me pause and made me think like, maybe this is a little more injured than I thought. He's also had these weird comments like, it doesn't matter if I'm 100%, versus AD who was like, I'm 100%. So it just feels like LeBron doesn't feel as confident in his ankle as like I think he'd like to be.
Listen, I do not think LeBron is totally right yet. I do think he will be by 2 weeks from now, and that's why he took yesterday off. And listen, they've got 3 more back-to-backs coming. I don't think LeBron's going to play every game the rest of the way. But the reason why I'm more confident in this than his previous injury, and Brandon, you can speak to this with far greater expertise than I can, is it's not a soft tissue injury. It's not a hamstring or a calf or a groin. The high ankle sprain is a very serious injury as far as the time of you being out. But the odds of re-aggravating it, it's totally different than if it were a muscular injury like a hamstring, where the odds of re-aggravating that are super high. So I'm not as concerned as I think Wilds is, just because of the nature of the injury.
Yeah, no, LeBron will be fine, and it'll take a couple more weeks for him to hit his stride again. As a player, you're trying to hit that mid-season stride where you feel good. LeBron was in that groove before he went down, and he'll find that again. LeBron James, is one of those guys that's getting the mental reps. We saw the highlights a couple weeks ago where it was a TV timeout and LeBron James was out there getting those mental reps. Like, that's what you do as a player. It's like you got to find a way when you're not 100% or if you're not on the court, you got to find a way to stay involved. But Nick, just really quickly, man, this isn't about LeBron James. I just want to push back real quickly on you on this AD because it's all about AD. The reason why they won it last year is because AD played phenomenal in the bubble. And you're talking about, well, AD's game, it's the same. He wasn't playing bad. So explain these numbers to me because in the bubble, their playoff run, and we talked about this last week, we were talking about 57%, 38%, and 83%. So that's the field, that's the three, and also from free throw. This year, and this was last week, we talked about this through 26 games. 51%. So he dropped from 57 to 51, dropped from 38 from 3 to 26. And this is the big tell right here. This is how you know a guy's in a slump. Because free throws, you should go out there. If you're 80% free throw shooter, that's what that should be there for the rest of your life. 83% to 71% this year. Something's going on with AD, Nick. You can't explain those numbers.
Yeah, he was in a slump. I can. He was in a slump. It's simple. But guys go in slumps. I don't think he's going to stay in the slump for the rest of the season or the rest of his career. That's it. It's as simple as that. We'll see. I think he'll be fine. I think he has enough body of work from Kentucky until this season. Except for you just said they won the championship because he was great. So I don't think playoff AD is a slur because you just told me they won the title because he was great. So I don't think a couple months of bad free throw and three-point shooting are going to kill him. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Okay.
Well, among random things that I'm in on, the free throw, I'm with you on that one. Time for Nick to hand out some NBA medals. Julius Randle was hot last night. Hit 5 threes, 28 points in a win over the Grizzlies, but he just missed out on a medal. Nick, who did make your medal stand today?
Julius Randle just missed out, but he couldn't get the bronze over. Oh, my God. Is that Hakeem work in the national championship game? No, it's Anthony Davis with a game-saving block on Campazzo, America's favorite Italian-American NBA player. AD, 25-7 and 3 blocks, gets a bronze. Steph gets the silver, 41-8, damn near at a 20-point first quarter as the Warriors finally, in one of these really big games for them, step up and dominate an opponent. The Pelicans, meanwhile, are walking dead. Gold medal, though, 14, 21, and 24. Kevin Wilde says rebounds, schmebounds, don't care. All right, how's the 24 assists for you as a point guard? Was it a high-scoring, fast-paced game? It was. Was it a ton of fun? You bet your butt it was. Russell Westbrook now has 2 career 20-rebound, 20-assist games. The rest of NBA history combined has 1. So Russell Westbrook gets the gold. There are your medals today, Jenna Wolfe.
All right. Kevin Wildes, who came close but just missed the cut.
You know, consistently my favorite player. Ja Morant, no, didn't work. Ja Morant is the king of awesome missed shots. He could have a full highlight reel of just stuff he's trying to do. No one's more confident. Speaking of overconfidence award, congratulations, Ja Morant. Yet another awesome play. Didn't count, but it's still a highlight.
Oh, the walk, Brandon. We're talking the New England Patriots and the quarterback situation they have brewing. Will Mac Jones walk into New England as the Week 1 starter? We discuss next. First things first, you see what I did there? I used the thing that you're hung up on in a sentence. Back here, first things first, with former All-Pro running back Brian Westbrook. Brian, let's talk some Patriots. You could say they're coming off a pretty good draft. Mac Jones ready to come in and compete with Cam for the starting job, at least according to his former Alabama offensive coordinator, Steve Sarkisian. Sarkisian had some high praise for Mac, what he thinks he can do in year 1. Take a listen to this.
I honestly think he's probably the most qualified rookie quarterback to start in year one. I think he's been exposed to it a lot. I think him being in school for 4 years and then putting in that time and having to persevere and wait his turn behind a Jalen Hurts, behind a Tua, and then he got his opportunity. He made the most of it. I think he's seen a lot from the defensive side of the ball, whether it was at practice or in game, and he had to compete at a really high level in the SEC. I think he's in a great position to go and compete. And like I've said earlier, now it's time to perform. You got to put in the work, and you got to let your play speak for itself.
All right, Brian Westbrook, who do you think should start week 1 for the New England Patriots, Mac Jones or Cam Newton?
Well, first of all, Jenna, I would expect my offensive coordinator, my college offensive coordinator, who I led to a national championship, to say exactly that. So I'm not surprised by those comments. But to me, the starter should be Cam Newton, unless Mac Jones just comes in and lights things up and wows you in training camp. And I actually was a part of this experience my last year in Philadelphia. LaShawn McCoy came in and wowed people in training camp. And literally the only reason why I started was because Andy Reid has so much confidence in me, and I was the incumbent there, or LaShawn McCoy certainly should have started there. But there's 2 reasons why Cam should be the starter. Number one, if you start Cam and he struggles, now Mac Jones comes in and replaces him, and he comes in as the savior, opposed to Mac Jones starting and he struggles and Cam comes in. At that point, you could certainly ruin Mac Jones's confidence for this year and the seasons to come. Right. The other part, and the reason why you think that I think that Cam should start is because I think New England was a lot closer than the records show. They ended up 7-9 last year. They had the most COVID opt-outs. Cam actually had COVID. And then you talk about no offensive weapons. This offseason, you get the COVID guys back. This is Cam's second year in this offense. He's much more fluent, much better at the quarterback position. And you've replenished the shelves with offensive weapons through free agency. Now you have a much better football team that certainly could be competing for that division title if something happens in Buffalo and they slip up just a little bit. So to me, you're a lot closer than you think, and you want to go with the veteran in that situation opposed to the rookie Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is Cam Newton. And it's because, Cam Newton has an offseason now. And I'm banking on Cam Newton being healthy, 1, and 2, working on the fundamentals. I keep talking about this. Every time we talk about Cam Newton and what does he need to get to the next level. This game right here, I always go to the Miami Dolphins game. I didn't even know you guys were going to roll this. You probably won't roll the film. You guys are showing the run plays. But when he's setting protection at the line of scrimmage, that's where the game is won and lost. At the quarterback position, you got to be able to say 54 is the mic. You got to know where your threats are, who's coming, who you're hot off. In that Miami game, just watch that. He has free hitters coming smacking him play after play after play. You've never seen the New England Patriots in that type of situation. Tom Brady was always protected. 1, they had a decent offensive lineman, a really good offensive line play. And 2, just their scheme up front is just so sophisticated it makes sense. That showed that he didn't have the offense down because that's fundamentals. And then when you see him drop back and people are talking about, well, look at his arm. Well, he never had a sexy, release when it comes to his arm, and he never was a guy that threw for 5,000 yards. But what you do see is Cam Newton. You can fix your drop back. You can fix your feet in the pocket. You can fix making sure that you're keeping your eyes down the field as you're stepping up in the pocket. He wasn't doing those things, and now he is back with his coach Whitfield out in California, wherever they're at, training and working on the fundamentals. I know for a fact that the New England Patriots called around to a couple quarterback gurus and said, we believe in Cam Newton, but he just needs to fix the fundamentals. Now, Coach Steve Sarkisian, I believe what he said. We've said this. Mac Jones is pro-ready. But is he ready right now? No. But Mac Jones can absolutely ball. This is a guy that when you really break down his film, there's 2 things that we talk about. Oh, look at his body. So we want to body shame, the quarterback. Bad body, bad body. Well, hell, 75% of the quarterbacks in the National Football League got bad bodies. And the second thing that we talk about with Mac Jones is look at all the talent around Mac Jones. He has the top wide receivers, the top offensive linemen, the top head coaches. Well, that is your job as an owner and a general manager, is to surround players with the talent they need to go get the job done. Cam Newton is a starter, but Mac Jones, if he's right there on his tail. If he slips up, he's going to come in and he's going to play well.
Okay, so here's why Cam is starting, Brandon, because Bill Belichick said Cam is our starter. And unlike other organizations where you feel around, it's confusing, we got a believe in Bill. If Bill says it, that's what it is. So Cam is going to start. But Nick, this is not last year. Cam is more akin to the NCAA tournament. One loss and you're gone. Cam got COVID, still kept his starting job. Saw the Chiefs game with Brian Hoyer gets in there and makes mental mistakes, you're out. Jarrett Stidham comes in, throws the ball to the wrong team, you're out. Cam got benched a few times and always kept his starting job. And that was media narrative-wise like, Bill loves Cam. Bill believes in Cam. Cam's a great leader. I think all those things are true.
There were no other options.
I also think the backups were terrible. So they were. So now that we have Mac Jones there, if Cam stumbles and starts throwing the ball to the ground or throws up a few 74-yard games, it's going to be Mac Jones time.
There you go. You nailed it. So I think you were speaking euphemistically when you said one and done. I don't think as soon as he loses a game, they're just itching to pull him. But if Cam looks like Cam looked last year, Mac Jones is going to be the starter for weeks, 15 through 17, and probably far earlier, but not week 1. I think it would take a shocking turn of events other than an injury for anyone other than Cam to start week 1. But I also think the Patriots were alive for the playoffs with a month left in the season last year. So I think they expect to compete for the playoffs, compete for the division this year.
That's right.
If Cam is struggling and doesn't look right, Jenna, then I do think they have a far easier option to replace him with than Mac Jones. But I do not expect Mac Jones to start week 1.
All right, let's set that aside. We got to get back to our top story, and that is Aaron Rodgers. Is Rodgers possibly being petty with all the drama unfolding in Green Bay? We will lay out all that drama for you on the other side. This is First Things First. You're right. Back here talking all the drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers, and there's a lot. A report came out yesterday that the Packers are cutting ties with wide receiver Jake Kumerow, that was the final blow in the Rodgers-Packers relationship. I know what you're thinking. Jake Kumerow? What? Well, for background, Rodgers had been complimentary of Kumerow right before the team cut him. Brian Westbrook back with us now. Brian, Packers releasing Kumerow, reportedly putting Rodgers over the edge. Is that justified or is that just absurd to you? You're a former player.
Jenna, this is absolutely absurd because of who Jake Kumerow is. Who is he again? I mean, how many passes has he caught in his NFL career? But, on the other side, he was Aaron Rodgers' friend. He's the guy that Aaron Rodgers complimented. So you have to understand that. The truth is, Aaron Rodgers should be involved in personnel decision. He should be involved in some of the things that the team is going to do. His input should be valued because he's just a 3-time MVP. He's just a guy that has a Super Bowl championship ring. He also is the face of your franchise. That's why you involve him in these types of things as far as the personnel decisions go. Here's the other thing. It's small things like this that keep your superstars happy. I'll never forget. We were in Philly, and the players had their player parking lot, and there was one spot near the door where you had to walk 5 feet to the door. All the other players had to walk, 50 yards away. And when T.O. came, guess whose spot that was? That was T.O.'s spot. And that was absolutely okay because that kept T.O. happy. It's small things like that that keep players happy, especially the super talented players happy. And you have to do those types of things if you're a coach, if you're a GM, if you're a franchise, to keep those guys happy. That's what you got to do. And at this point, whatever Aaron Rodgers wants, Aaron Rodgers should receive in Green Bay.
And again, it's not even whatever he wants. How about anything? Brian Gutekunst gets there, the very first thing he does is cuts Jordy Nelson. That ain't a great start to our relationship. Rodgers told him as much. His next major decision is trading up to draft Aaron Rodgers' replacement before Aaron Rodgers' contract extension has even kicked in. Months after drafting his replacement, you can't keep Jake Kumerow, who ended up signing for $580,000 $1,000? You can't find the 600 grand as just something of an olive branch? And the idea that this is, oh my God, this is diva behavior. First of all, it's not. Second of all, who cares if it is? But ace pitchers in Major League Baseball very often have a personal catcher. That is a 25-man roster. One of the 25 is just because our star pitcher likes you, wants you, needs you. In the NBA, teams that don't even employ Giannis employ his brother at hopes of one day employing him. And his own team employs his other brother because they do employ him. Like, this is how things work.
Players.
And so yes, I understand. And I'm not talking trash on Costas or Thanasis, but come on. Giannis probably helps him. What evidence do we have, Wilds, that Brian Gutekunst isn't putting his finger in Aaron Rodgers' eye? What is the evidence we have that it's like, you know what, he's getting a bum rap here? Tell me.
Because they went 13-3 the last 2 years, and we're in the NFC Championship the last 2 years, and all I have to hear about is they don't have they're not doing well enough, they're not doing a good enough job. But Brandon, what do you want the guy to do? If you draft defensive players, you're not giving Aaron Rodgers enough weapons. If you draft offensive players, you're saying, oh, that's why Aaron Rodgers never had a top 5 defense. Like Tom Brady's had top 5 defense. And if you're trying to build the best team to win the Super Bowl, you're cutting his friend. If you keep his friend on the team, now you're playing favorites, and we need that spot. What if there's situational football and we need a defensive player whoever took that spot? To me, it feels like the guy's in a lose-lose situation. There's nothing he can do right. And it all feels like a leverage play, which I think 2 years at $85 million will solve, and Jake Kumerow does not need to enter the narrative.
No, it's more than that. This guy, this general manager, Brian Gutekunst, wherever he came from, like, he think it's about him, and it's not. The reason why they went 13-3 and they've been a good team and a contender for so many years is because of Aaron Rodgers. That's it. No defense. Charles Woods is not walking back in that door. Al Harris is not walking in that door. It is Aaron Rodgers. What did I say yesterday? This is not a negotiation. This is a hostile takeover. So what happens when you're involved in a hostile takeover? You say, here is the list of my demands, and I want it all. So Brian Gutekunst. So if Jordy Nelson, right, what Nick talked about a couple years ago, if Aaron Rodgers said, that is my guy, that relationship between quarterback and wide receiver is special. Man, he should have had one more year, maybe even 2 more years, just off of the strength of their relationship and their connection. But you want to release him, not good. And then you got what's his name, Jake Kumerow. I don't even know who Jake Kumerow is, but I'm with Nick here. They're in Appleton, Wisconsin. There's nothing. Brian, I don't know how many times you flew out there to play Green Bay, but there's nothing out there. So these guys, they probably get together and play cards on the Friday night. You know, they might, watch a little Netflix. Okay. Let them have that moment. The quarterback, he needs that. These guys are just different. They're just different.
Guys, the defending Super Bowl champions this year, their head coach said, we are not in the Antonio Brown business. And then Tom Brady had take your roommate to work day, and AB shows up. He's like, he lives with me, and he's on the team now, too. And they're like, all right, like, whatever. Like, I guess we're just going to figure out how to make it work. But, Brian, you own properties all over the world. One's in Maryland, right? Your giant horse palace in Maryland, I think that's right. All right, I'm sure you have a way that you always drive there. If your wonderful, amazing wife tells you on one trip, honey, I've got a better path. No one takes it. I promise, though, it's better, more beautiful, and faster. If she's right, she gets all the kudos in the world. If she's wrong and you end up in West Virginia, then it's not like if Google Maps directed you wrong. You're a little annoyed. You're a little angry. Brian Gutekunst said, guys, I'm going off the path. We've got an MVP caliber quarterback. He's 36 years old. I'm going to trade up preemptively for his replacement. If he's right, if last year instead of winning the MVP, Rodgers looks cooked, if Rodgers looked like Peyton the final year in Denver, and if Jordan Love looks like Mahomes his rookie season in Kansas City, where people can't stop talking about how good he looks in practice, then guess what? Brian Gutekunst has a job forever. He's probably executive of the year. But if he's wrong, there are repercussions. And I don't understand why folks, Brian, want to act like it can be all benefit when you take a massive swing. If you take a home run swing, sometimes you not only strike out, you lose control of the bat and it hits the third base coach. Like, that's a risk. And right now, this swing has ended up concussing a teammate. Brian Gutekunst has to own that. And the fact that after it happened, he couldn't even say, all right, well, Kumerow, you can stay, because that'll maybe solve things a little bit. I'm surprised people don't get it.
Nick, and you're a driving example. If my wife wants to go a different direction, that's the way we're going to go. That's going to keep her happy. That's the way that we're going to go, because she is Aaron Rodgers. She is the franchise player. She is the boss here. But let me ask you guys this, because I just been thinking this for a long time. If you're a GM, you have a star player like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, does that mean you can never draft a franchise quarterback? You can never look to the future? Aaron Rodgers was 36 years old. Does that mean we have to always be tied to you? Can we never move on? Because they did that with Brett Favre with Aaron Rodgers. Does that mean that we can never draft another guy, or we have to wait until you fall completely off for me to do it?
B, there's a way of doing it, right? All you got to do, these guys are sensitive. What you do is you say, look, here's the deal. Let's sit down and figure out what the next 3 years look like for you, 5 years, 10 years. We're trying to build this thing for the future after you. That's what a good organization does. A good organization makes sure they have pieces in place, so when the talent, that's there, when they leave, they step down, they're still rocking and rolling. Include them in the discussion.
That's what he's doing.
They didn't include Aaron Rodgers in the Jordan Love discussion. He didn't know that until
that's right.
It said the selection is in, the pick is in. That's the problem.
There it is. There's a courtesy at the very least. I would argue you don't trade up for the guy, but if he falls to you, maybe. But if you have decided to trade up for him and you know what's happening, Jenna, there is a courtesy you pay, which is to not have him learn it when Roger Goodell says it. That you at least are grown up enough to call him and say, I know you're not going to like this. It's what's best for the team. We love you. We wanted to give you a heads up.
It should happen weeks and months before, though, Nick.
But even if they don't know weeks and months before, they could have called him 5 minutes ahead of time. And they didn't. And I don't think he's over it, Jenna. Right. I don't think he's going to get over it.
All that being said, it still, to Wild's point, feels like a nice contract extension might make all of this go away. But once again, we are not there yet. So the story continues. Time for a little Kevin Wild's Weird and Wonderful. Shohei Ohtani. Boom! 9th home run last night. Now tied for the Major League lead in home runs. Pretty wonderful, Wild, but somehow not wonderful enough. What do you got for us?
Oh, buckle up for some Rays Angels. Tyler Glasnow with a 100-mile-per-hour pitch. He's like, yeah, that's right. Wasn't a strikeout, though. Only 2 pitches. Like, what? Oh, it was only strike 2. Sorry, I was trying to be cool. Strike 3. Sorry, I don't know what's going on here. You know what? Nothing wrong with it. If you throw a 100-mile-per-hour pitch, you should be happy. Strut around a little bit. Moving on to the wonderful. This one doesn't go so well for Tyler Glasnow. Gives up a bomb. Guess who catches it? Oh! The Angels bullpen, and they're having a ball. Is there a glove in sight? Nope, so they catch it with their hat. And look how happy they are. This is like when you get a T-shirt cannon at a game. Everyone goes crazy. T-shirts only cost about $7, but nevertheless, people love them. Same with Angels relief pitchers. Look at this. Boom, got it. Granted, they have 5 gallons of 5-gallon buckets of balls there. He's still happy he got a free one. So that's the weird and wonderful from the national pastime.
All right, good stuff, Wilds. We get to celebrate a little throwback week. We're talking some of our favorite sports throwbacks next. This is fun. First things first.
Can you dig it? It's the latest. It's the coolest. It's just how morning should be. You'll get it all on First Things First.
Oh, we got a throwback week week version of Drawing a Blank. The NASCAR Throwback race kicks off 3:30 Eastern Sunday on FS1 from Darlington. To celebrate Throwback Week, we're all going to be sporting our favorite throwback jerseys. It should not, will not, could not possibly come as a surprise to anyone whose throwback jersey I am wearing, and I will kick us off for 75,000 legitimate reasons, basketball related, and one stupid one, teenage hard thought related. Danny Ainge, woo! My guy, number 44. Nick, Danny played 14 seasons in the NBA. Do you know how many guys did that? A bunch, but he was one of them. So Danny Ainge, you're my throwback jersey. Who's next, Nick? Oh, Brandon, go ahead.
Jenna, listen. You guys always make fun of me. Oh, Brandon, you played on how many teams? The Steelers you like Buffalo. No, I am a Jets fan. I had the greatest time of my life playing in New York. The organization treated me well. So I got to go with my guy, Joe Namath. The last time we won a Super Bowl was 1969. Joe, guaranteed victory. And guess what? We are back. Did you guys see this draft this past weekend? You saw what happened with Joe. Big Joe was able to do in the draft. So the Jets are back, and I want to celebrate it by wearing Mr. Joe Namath's jersey. Throwback time.
And Brandon, one day Z is going to be on television also wearing a Joe Namath jersey saying the last great Jets quarterback 30 years from now will still be Namath. All right, I am wearing the jersey of the greatest pitcher in baseball history, also the greatest athlete in Kansas City sports history, the great, the incomparable Satchel Paige. And if you're ever in Kansas City, you can go see these jerseys and a lot more at the Negro League Baseball Museum. But that is what I'm wearing. I think he's the greatest pitcher ever and somewhat forgotten because he played in the Negro Leagues before making it to the majors at a much, much older age.
Oh, so I tried to game the system. I said I wanted a Bo Jackson jersey. And I got the Raiders Bo Jackson jersey. Shout out to Bo. I also wanted the Royals jersey. Tried to sneak one back past Katanic. Tried to get two jerseys for the price of one, Jenna.
I did the same thing. They wouldn't give me a Blue Jays, even though Danny Ainge, two-sport athlete, stud that he is. Let's talk some football. Hey, the 85 Bears made famous in part for that defense, also for this Super Bowl shuffle, and the fridge, and McMahon, and oh, the moves. But Brandon, your favorite throwback football player is blank. There it is.
Yeah, the guy I grew up watching, the guy I absolutely love. I grew up playing running back. You know, that's what I played all the way up until high school. Got to the high school, got to 9th grade. They gave me a pitch right, made like 4 or 5 guys miss. They said, let's do it again after a gain of 20 yards. And I did the same exact thing, then I fumbled. And my Barry Sanders days was over. I had to start learning the wide receiver position. So I'm going to go with Barry Sanders because that's my favorite player growing up. I mean, just phenomenal, sensational, his vision, being able to make moves within a move. It was just awesome watching him play the game growing up, and he's an amazing person as well.
I'm going the exact same era as you, Brandon. Not a super throwback, but arguably the greatest defensive player ever, inarguably the greatest cover corner ever, Deion Sanders. And from the moment he was drafted and he was just dressed impeccably and he was talking about the Brinks truck to when he played a baseball playoff game and an NFL game in the same day to winning Super Bowls with multiple teams to wearing the do-rag on the field, just an absolute trendsetter and the greatest to ever do it at his position, prime Deion Sanders.
Okay, one of the absolute low points on this show was when Nick Wright decided to rip Bo Jackson's football legacy by claiming, which was true, that he only had 2,800 yards and 16 touchdowns. It was fair. And he's like, when you look at the numbers scientifically, analytically, Bo Jackson wasn't great. Well, you know what? You can't prove that Bo Jackson was great. You know what else you can't prove scientifically and analytically? The existence of God, or the existence of love as a human emotion. Some things are more about here than up here, and Bo Jackson is one of them, Jenna.
You've been waiting 5 months to get back at Nick? Oh, my goodness.
100% he was, Brandon. 100%. Throwback to the Showtime Lakers magic. Kareem, they won 5 titles together, made it to 8 NBA finals together. Both did some amazing things together. But Brandon, your favorite throwback basketball player is blank.
Nick, how old are you, Nick? I don't know if you're sensitive giving your age out on national television.
36.
You're 36.
You and I are the same
I'm
age.
30. I just turned 37. You know why we fell in love with the game of basketball? Our generation, there was one guy that we all loved. We
Patrick
absolutely
Ewing.
adored and said, oh, I want to be like
Good
him.
take.
Yeah, right, Nick. Stop it, Nick. Stop it. Michael Jordan. I want to be like Mike. So this whole GOAT conversation, you need to stop it, because the reason why you fell in love with basketball, because of that guy right there, Michael Jordan, man. Talking about Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, I don't know how he was
Please.
able to hit that jump shot over Craig Elo. I mean, it's unbelievable. Iconic defense, iconic team. He beat those great Cavs teams of the early 90s. I'm going with a guy who, unfortunately, whilst my commitment to take integrity has forced me to rip a couple times in the last month, but he's one of my favorite all-time players, the good doctor, Dr. Julius Erving. Dr. J, in his final 3 years in the ABA, won the MVP every single year, won 2 titles, won playoff MVP 2 times. Then in his first 7 years in the NBA, won an MVP, finished top 5 4 other times, went to 4 NBA finals, and won a championship. Yet he is forgotten somewhat to history other than the iconic dunks, because people don't want to include what he did in the ABA. He's the 12th greatest player ever, my favorite player of the late 70s, early 80s era, Dr. Julius Erving.
Yeah, and thanks for going with this. So I know we had a big debate about whether you could put Mount St. Mary's LeBron on there, and we decided not to. We said, go to Dr. J. It's a little bit older. My answer is a combination. Oh, boom, the VHS tapes are back. Bird and Jordan. And guess what? If you haven't seen these videos, which you certainly have, it's the same story. It's the same story. They start the same way. It's heroes. It's the, hero's journey. Oh, long after the other kids went home, they were still practicing. Like, which one is that about? Oh, they would stay late in a competitive drive. So great job. I had to dig these out of my attic. Just kidding. They're constantly on the VHS, just running on a loop for my kids.
Love it.
You still have a
I love it so much.
Shout out to our production team for making a custom Danny Ainge jersey. They haven't sold one in 20 years.
Hilarious. Jokes on jokes. Don't laugh at his jokes. Hey, Throwback Week culminates Sunday on FS1. Danny was in that video with Larry Bird, so you can take your laughs and put him in a sack. The stars of NASCAR go old school with the Throwback race from Darlington. Catch some of the most iconic races as they hit the rides. As they hit the track, it's the Goodyear 400 Sunday, 3:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. One of the greatest shooting guards of all time, by the way. But we can discuss that another time. Let's talk some Lakers. Should Lakers fans be as confident as AD was after last night's win? We'll discuss next. First things first.
Ainge was in a lot of those highlights.
They couldn't find this jersey.
Work from Jordan.
Regular season in the NBA wrapping up. Can't wait for this. Nick's got his updated NBA MVP ladder. Where will LeBron and the Joker and the Joel all land? Who knows? Nick knows.
CP3.
They got to wait till tomorrow. Right here. First things
Why
first.
is LeBron still there?
Big reveal tomorrow.
Can't wait.
I don't make the graphics.
Is LeBron still going to be on the ladder?
Brought to you by Subway. Talking all the drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers. So a report came out yesterday that the Packers cutting ties with receiver Jake Kumerow in September was the final blow in the Rodgers-Packers relationship, to which Brandon said, Jake Kumerow? Yeah, Brandon, yeah.
I got to Google him real quick.
Rodgers had been complimentary of Kumerow right before the team cut him. So, Nick, the Packers releasing Kumerow, reportedly putting Rodgers over the edge. What is that? Is that justified or is it absurd?
Oh, it's certainly not absurd. Here's the thing about final straws, Jenna. Straws are very small. They're very light. It's like, what could this straw do? Well, if it's the last one, it could break the camel's back, as they say. I think that's how the cliche goes. And when you cut Jordy Nelson, when you not only draft Jordan Love, you not only trade up to draft Jordan Love, but you trade up to draft Jordan Love, and I don't even get the courtesy phone call that legends such as Kirk Cousins got This offseason, when they drafted Kellen Mond, we can show you the quote. It's like, oh no, we called Kirk. We just a simple heads up. We wouldn't want Kirk Cousins to be blindsided because, Kirk Cousins has earned that in Minnesota, but somehow Rodgers hadn't earned that in Green Bay. And then after all of that, it's like, hey, Jake Kumerow, I like him. Like the way he runs routes and like the way he plays spades. He's going to cost you $580,000. Can we keep him? Nope, Rodgers. You get no say and you're going to like it. Compare that to literally everything else we know about sports. The Yankees signed Garrett Cole. They tried to acquire his personal catcher from the Astros, and he, as many ace pitchers do, he has a personal catcher. The Bucks employ Giannis's brother. I think the Clippers gave Kawhi Leonard's uncle partial ownership of the team. You do things for your people. And when you don't, they get upset. So, should Jake Kumerow, should it have come down to Jake Kumerow? Of course not. But the constant signs of disrespect are going to grow tired. And I think this was just the latest and the most recent one, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, this is justified, Nick. I mean, in the locker room, there's guys and then there's the guy. And that quarterback is the guy. When Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees walk in the cafeteria and he sit next to you, it doesn't matter who you are. You get a little antsy. You get it's like, gosh, this is Aaron Rodgers. This is Drew Brees. That they have that thing about them. And the reason why is because you barely see those guys interacting in the locker room. They're always doing something, watching film, studying. They're just in the world of their own when they walk into the building. So when you're around them, you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. But they always have that one or two guys. When you get on the road and you go to dinner, you land in the city, right before the team meeting starts at 8 p.m., you have a couple hours to go hang out with the guys. Those guys have one or two people. Peyton Manning had Brandon Stokely. Brandon Stokely, I love you to death. You taught me how to play in the slot. But you probably played a year too long or two because Peyton Manning came in and told the Denver Broncos, like, look, this is my guy, I need him around. That's the truth of the matter. These quarterbacks have their guys. But, man, Brian Gutekunst, just talking about him, wow, come on, man. This is not a negotiation. I said it earlier in the show. I said it yesterday. You know what it is. It's a hostile takeover. Aaron Rodgers demands if he wants this kid, Jake Kumerow, if he wants him on the roster, guess what you do? You give him Jake Kumerow, and you make sure Jake Kumerow has the locker that he wants and the helmet that he wants. That's what you do. Brian Gutekunst thinks it's about him, and it's about Aaron Rodgers. He needs a reality check and needs to understand that the success around this team comes from and goes through Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, because Aaron Rodgers is playing wide receiver, defense, and special teams. And he's also the GM. To me, Brian, I reject the narrative that this is all about Brian Gutekunst. That Brian Gutekunst wakes up in the morning like a Game of Thrones character, like, yes, how can I get all the glory? How can Gutekunst rise to the top of the NFL kingdom? I don't think that. I think the guy is a little bit clumsy in his personal negotiations, and he certainly should have given Aaron Rodgers a heads up when they were going to draft Jordan Love. I get it. But the fact that we're at the Jake Kumerow chapter of the bottomless well of grievance margarita that I've been forced to drink for the last week, I'm just out on it, Nick. I'm out on it. If Jake Kumerow was who everyone had to Google for the record, everyone's like, Jake, did I miss something? Is he a valuable player? Everyone had to Google him. So if he was signed, do you think that Aaron Rodgers would be happy? Do you think there would be another grievance that would air its ugly head in this leverage of negotiations?
May have been another grievance, but what you said there was interesting to me, and it reminds me of the great line from De Niro's character in Casino: either you're stupid or you're in on it. Either way, you got to go. Either the Jordan Love pick was a Game of Thrones Machiavellian machination to force Aaron Rodgers out, or it was just idiotic. Either way, guess you gotta go, buddy, because you've screwed the pooch with the greatest player in franchise history, Jenna. So, either you're dumb or you're in on it.
Can I ask you a quick question, Jenna?
Go ahead, Wilds.
Just real quick, Nick. What if Aaron Rodgers, and I hope it doesn't get hurt, what if he has like a little Drew Brees hiccup and he has to go out for 5 games? like a Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees thing. And Jordan Love comes in and wins 5 games. Are we all going to be like, oh my God? Well, how?
Yes. Yes.
But you don't move up in the first round. You don't move up in.
It's the way
you don't move up in the first round to get that guy. Yeah, it's about how you do it and communicate. It's about value. That's what it's about. Do you value when I say Jake Kumerow? I like him. I want him on the team, and then you cut him the next day.
Nobody said the guy's name more ever in his whole life than we did in the last 2 minutes. We'll see you tomorrow. Undisputed right now.